Are we live? Let's see here. Let us know in the chat if we are live. Obviously, it looks a little different. Let's see if this is going. This is not showing up on here yet. We'll see. If it works. They're not getting it either.
Showing live.
Okay. Oh, here it comes. Here it comes. It's loading here, not loading here. All right. Are we live? Can we see? Are we live? It's got like a lag to it, I guess. Yep, it's got a lag to it. Well, there you go.
You on?
I think we're on.
Can you guys see and hear us?
All right. So there might be a lag. Might be a little bit of a lag because we still do not have internet. We actually, okay, if you guys are not aware, there was a catastrophic storm that came through here. A tornado came through where we live. Our entire front of our property is destroyed, and we have been doing our best to be without power. We got a little power.
We got shaky power.
We got shaky power. We have no internet whatsoever.
We had internet, and that's gone. Phone data, very shaky. This area was not prepared for a disaster. When I say disaster,
a massive weather event.
Massive weather event like what we got.
Yeah.
So we are streaming from a phone with a few jury-rigged things set up. We've got some lavalier mics plugged into the phone. We're going to be limited on the power that the phone has because that's normally where the external power cable would go to.
Yep.
And we are also limited by whatever gremlins we're going to encounter tonight.
And we're probably going to invoke some gremlins with the show tonight. And what we're going to...
As if we didn't need any more.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to invoke some gremlins with our show tonight because we're going to talk about some stuff. We thought it was pretty fitting to discuss this. Oh, and I want to let you guys know it's going to be very difficult for us to see the chat because we don't have our laptops aren't working. I'm literally using Joe's phone because we're streaming on my phone, and then we are using the tablet. That's how we're going to see the chat. So we'll just be able to kind of look down at the chat periodically. One of us will probably talk about the subject or talk about something, and the other one will kind of watch the chat. But we're not going to be able to. We're not going to be able to show the chat, like the messages like before, because we're not doing this through StreamYard. We have to do it through YouTube directly. So,
and if everything just cuts out halfway through, it's because, again, phone service has been real spotty.
Yeah,
here.
So a bunch of towers got taken out, so it's also pretty difficult to make this work as well. But in true Helmet Holler fashion, we will not give up, we will not give in, and we will not concede. So here we are, making it work. But my arms are so big. Why are my arms so big?
You've got giant arms there, man. So
I have giant arms?
Yep. So anyway.
I've been through a natural disaster, and now you want to make me self-conscious about my giant arms, apparently.
You've got big muscular... like roofer arms. So.
I had to replace a section of our roof today, and I have never done roof repair before, but I had to figure that out. My parents actually came up from Florida to help us fix a few things because we did a lot on our own, and then we finally just kind of needed help.
Cavalry came out.
Yeah. So my dad does not get on roofs, so he's down on the ground yelling at me, and I've never fixed anything on a roof before. So I'm up on the roof, like trying to repair this, trying to put all these parts of the shingles back on, and he's just yelling instructions to me from down below. So it was quite a day.
Quite a past 4 or 5 days at this point.
Yeah.
So.
We had to remove 3 giant trees from the entire front of our house.
And we were the only house on the street to
have that much damage.
Yeah. Everything seemed to kind of gravitate towards our property. We were the only ones without power for a few days. I think we're the only ones without internet still.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
So it seemed.
But our power pole came down with the 3 trees and actually flattened one of our vehicles. It was one of the first Hellbent Holler vehicles that we had.
Just pancaked. Completely pancaked.
3 trees and a power pole went straight through it. So it flattened the truck. So the truck got flattened. It's been a bit of a time.
We weren't going to do the show tonight, but this is the longest stretch. I was talking about it in our Discord earlier. This is the longest stretch we've gone without doing something with the Hellbent Holler project. Usually, even if it's just both of us were working the day jobs, there's at least a few hours, like 4 hours spent on like equipment or research or something. Basically, since Wednesday night, we've just been in chainsaw, haul lumber, repairs, try to, make sure that everything was brought back to normal or as normal as it could be.
Yeah.
So we wanted to do a show tonight because, again, we were having Hellbent Holler withdrawals. And just because everybody was so kind as far as their comments went.
Yeah.
We had a few people that were just like a little aggro because we didn't have a new video released this week, even after we put something out saying, hey, no new video release because we don't have a computer or internet or power or anything like that at all. So, but the vast majority of everybody was like really super cool.
Yeah, thank you everybody for being cool. So, but yeah, and that's why we're kind of going raw today. You can actually see all the way out to our light apparatus and everything. But hey, the color looks punchy as hell.
Color does look punchy as hell.
That's great. Apparently I have giant arms as well. I'm like a
big muscular roofing arms, lumber carrying arms.
So today we're going to kind of talk about what maybe have happened.
What might have happened.
What might have happened.
And it's happened to us a couple times before.
Yeah.
But I think some sort of attachment has followed us from, let's just call it the CW, okay?
Yeah.
Because we got really badly hit after last Monday's live stream.
Oh, yeah. So last Monday's live stream, I know you guys found it very entertaining. It was a lot of fun to do. We had a blast.
Best, most enjoyable show we've done in a long time.
We had an absolute blast. However, YouTube kind of kicked us in the groin on that one. We got demonetized for a while. Channel got throttled extremely badly. No new subscribers, channel views went, and then that's kind of irrelevant, but we do use that to kind of offset the cost of the investigations that we do because we're very tech heavy and we put a lot into this. So we figured we'd get like a little ding. We didn't expect the hammer to come down like it came down on us, but what are you going to do? It did. So we're going to try to not get dinged again tonight so soon. But what we talked about last week does pertain to what occurred over the past 5 days, and kind of some of the theories that we have on what actually happened. So tonight's topic is the hitchhiker effect and paranormal attachments. Does going to these locations cause things, entities, bad luck, curses to attach to you? Do you bring them home?
Does even spending an inordinate amount of time thinking about, reading about, devoting mental energy to these topics and these phenomena make you glow a little brighter than everybody else?
And make these things take notice of you.
A little star glowing in a dark night, and it just latches onto you at that point. So, and I think that the answer is, oh, hell yeah, it does. You know what I'm saying? So, but...
Is it always bad?
Is it always a bad thing? I'd say 99% of the time it is. But is there ever a chance that it's not so bad? Or maybe that there's a Casper out there, Casper the friendly ghost, So I don't know. I mean, my views on the majority of this phenomena. It's not pleasant at all. I don't see it that way. I think that a lot of people that have warm and fuzzies about this, it's because they themselves are kind people. Yeah. And they project their own intentions and their own personalities upon the phenomena. Yeah. Okay. Everybody wants the world to be like Disneyland. Everybody wants it to be a good, charming place.
That's why there's a lot of trouble at national parks with like bison and
bears stealing picnic baskets. You know what I'm saying?
Well, or stealing your baby when you like try to get a selfie with the baby and the bear. So.
But anyway, and there's also something too about the projection portion of this, that what you put out is what you get back. Okay.
And that pertains to, say, like ritual magic or the occult or anything like that. There's the rule of threes. Whatever you put out there comes back to you times 3.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, we have in the past, through some of the areas we've gone to, noticed an uptick in strange coincidences, synchronicities, bad luck that seem to start immediately after some of these investigations.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's very short-lived. Sometimes it's not so short-lived. Sometimes it's very minor, and sometimes it's a little bit more major than others. And that's just happened to us in the past. People have talked in the past about how, do you guys do cleansing rituals? Do you guys try to protect yourself? Don't bring anything home with you. Sometimes, yeah, we do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, yeah, we do. Sometimes
we let it ride for a little while.
Because when you're trying to investigate strange phenomenon,
you don't want to constantly be ridding yourself of
that strange phenomenon.
Yeah.
That's like when people are like, you need to wear protective amulets and measures when you go out and investigate, and I'm going, nope, because then we'd be driving off the very thing that we're out looking for. So
Slap says ride that dragon.
So, and we're going to try to watch the chat as much as we can tonight. Like I said, it's on a very tiny little screen. Anyway, but we also have a tendency of, let's just say some of us have a tendency to be a magpie and bring home little souvenirs from these places that we go to. And, there seems to be a basis in that there being truth to that you can, just get like an attachment that just attaches to you spiritually or psychically or however you want to look at. And it doesn't need a physical object,
a medium
to like travel along to. But I guess that doesn't hurt sometimes to have a medium traveling along with you. So, we are curious as to whether that happened with us with the last spot that we investigated.
So, as a lot of you know, we went to Northwest Georgia to investigate the site of paranormal activity. We talked about it last week on last week's live. We told the whole story of what happened.
And we're not going to retell it again this week.
We're not telling the story again this week. No, we've had enough trouble with that. But if you check out the live from last week, we go into detail about what happened at that location. And I will be having a video come out about it. I'm actually going to have probably 2 videos come out about that expedition, about that story, about that expedition. But we went out there, and there is a curse that is attached to the whole story, the whole lore when it comes to it. Nobody knows really where this curse lore came from. People just said, if you take anything from the location, then you'll be cursed for life.
And it's very similar to another famous cave that is associated with a witch.
Yeah.
That our good friend Dooster is associated with heavily.
Yeah.
If you take objects from there, you invariably end up bringing the objects back or even mail them back at this point.
Yeah, because it's allegedly you'll be cursed if you take any of these objects from these locations. Well, me being the magpie I am, I did take something from the location in Northwest Georgia. I did ask for permission from the how do I not sound insane?
From the spirits who might be potentially inhabiting that spot.
Yeah.
Good or ill, whatever they are. You know what I'm saying? So, but we did ask for permission, and we did ask, and this is so like wooey, my God, it's like crazy for me to even talk about. That if we were not supposed to take it, give us a sign as we were carrying it out. And we almost got the opposite effect.
Yeah.
Almost like we were encouraged to take it. Now here's what you can say. Maybe it was something going, you go ahead, you just go ahead and take that. maybe it was something looking for a way out.
Hitching a ride?
Hitching a ride.
Like
man.
literally a
like
hitchhiker.
literally hitchhiking.
Literally
thumb stuck out. Let me jump in on there with y'all. You know what I'm saying? And get on out of here. So regardless, I want to preface this right now, and I'm going to share there's going to be a lot of people out there saying, hey, that's stupid. That's ridiculous. Why would you do that? Da, 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 da. The whole point of this project is to, like we say every week, it's to advance this past campfire stories.
And push the limits.
Push the limit, get firsthand information, firsthand experiences, document it if, where, and when we can.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, sometimes you have to take risks to do that.
Yeah.
You have to take, when we get our daily, why do you all go out there at night in Dogman country? You're going to get eaten. And I'm just going, that is a risk we are taking. People skydive, people climb mountains. A good friend of ours goes caving into places where a sane person would not go to.
I would never go caving.
I would never go caving either.
But I'm sure he would not take an object from a
Death Wish is probably Death Wish is probably too smart for that. A guy named Death Wish is probably too smart for that.
Now I will say I shared a photo on social media of a custom gargoyle I had made. So the guys at this location that we talked about last week had a pink gargoyle on top of the sun deck at the front of the house, and that was like the jewel of the house, you know, this pink gargoyle that sat up there. So I actually had a pink gargoyle. I had a mini pink gargoyle made, and that came in this week. So I put that with the object that I took from the site. And so let's get into how do we think this affected us during all of this. Joseph, you were here during the tragedy.
So at the last place we lived at, where we would stream from, everything would work perfectly until we tried to stream on Monday nights. And then it would be just a litany of just equipment issues and internet failures and just all sorts of weird stuff. As we started to spend more and more time on these investigations, stranger stuff started happening around there. We talked about that in previous live streams. You can go back and look. Orange balls of light that would come up to the windows.
Shadow figures.
Tracy Crane, thank you for, and I don't know if I can.
You can't show.
I can't show it.
You can't show anything. We're not using StreamYard.
So we can't. If you guys, anybody does super chats tonight, we will just have to catch it and thank you. We won't be able to display it like we normally do. I think it might display by itself, doesn't it? I don't know. But Tracy Crane, thank you for being a member for 6 months. We appreciate it greatly. And thank you guys. You know what? The members. A quick side note: the members were the people you would think would be like, "On, come on, guys." You know, we're bankrolling this whole damn thing. Give us some content. And you guys were the ones that were the loudest saying, listen, just get everything taken care of. We understand. And we're very appreciative of that. And that's part of the reason why we wanted to do a show tonight, was just to vocalize that appreciation. It was very touching. Anyway, back to the orange balls of light. We had what we call the flaming ghost.
That occurred.
Oh, thank you, Tracy. Tracy rejoined her membership and then $20 super chat. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate it. So we had what we called the burning ghost, where we watched a slow-moving flaming ball just travel across the sky and in the back property one night, which was bizarre. We had the sounds of trumpets coming out of the woods next to the house. We saw I did an investigation nearby with Katie. I don't know if you guys remember, but Katie did the Halloween special with us year before last. Last year we were in the LBL and we went to the massacre site. But the year before that, we did a Halloween special where we did an investigation in an old abandoned house. Katie and I did a series of investigations out there. Eventually I'll release that footage from that, and you guys can check that out. We did Estes sessions. We did all kinds of crazy stuff out there. And we got a lot of really dark stuff. I think that house was surrounded by a lot of negative energy. And I think that was kind of leaching into where we lived. So we had that happen on a fairly regular basis. We'd hear voices sometimes when we'd stream, and we'd go, is there somebody outside? We'd check the cameras. Nobody would be there. So then we moved into a 100-year-old home that has had a few deaths in it. Most 100-year-old homes have.
That's a numbers game.
It's a numbers game, man. Yep. So, thank you, my friend Centurion.
Thank you.
And again, I'm going to try to watch that as best I can, but, we moved in here and we've had a few weird things happen. It's never felt threatening or never felt uninviting.
Never felt dark or
but
evil.
We've talked before when I was on a video chat with Kyle from Encrypted Connections one night, taking him through one of our audio setups. I saw him in the screen go, "Is Jesse there with you?" I'm like, "No, Jesse's not here with me. What are you talking about?" And then he goes, "Do you have a mannequin in that room?" And that's when I was just like, "What the hell?" And I was just like, "Stay on the phone with me while I check the house." And he was like, "Dude, there was a figure standing behind you. I thought you had a mannequin in the room. I saw it when you panned your phone, and then when you panned back, it was gone." So that's happened before. Okay. Post our investigation at the CW,
Yeah.
it's been a little weirder. Jesse was at work one night, and I was actually sitting in the living room with some recording equipment spread out over the table, and I start hearing.
Now, is this post or prior to going to?
Post.
Can we just call it the manor?
The manor. We'll call it the manor. So I heard music coming out, and I'm like, "What am I hearing right now?" Her computer had started, because her computer had been shut off.
Mm-hmm.
Computer started on its own, went to our YouTube channel, and started playing one of our videos. And I was hearing the opening music to it. And man, I wish I had paid attention to which video was playing too.
Yeah.
But I didn't. So, and I just went, "Okay, this is bizarre." And then I'm going, "All right, did the cat do this somehow?" Then I'm going, "All right, how did the cat turn the computer on, open up Chrome, navigate to YouTube, go to our channel?" You didn't have it bookmarked or anything like that. So it was weird. So weird stuff has been happening post going to the manor. So this storm rolls through, okay? And this storm obviously affected a lot of people in the south and the central portion of the United States.
Storm was a coming.
Storm was a coming. Deuster's sending me like softball-sized picture, like hail, you know what I'm saying, that he took photos of that came down near his property. And so that was coming. So you can't say that was directed towards us. You can't say that. That was coming everywhere through it. The fact that once that storm got here and the series of cascading events that happened where we've had like linemen and people from the power company in the city just going, "What the hell happened here? How did this happen to you guys?" And we're going, just goes with the territory, man.
Yeah.
Because it was literally like dominoes fell and every single domino somehow jumped off the table and landed on our property. Okay.
Okay.
Would that be fair to say?
I guess so. Yeah.
But let's look at the flip side. It was a big tree. That tree missed our house by like a foot, where it would have caused serious, serious damage.
Right.
Okay. So I keep going back and forth, and I keep saying, "Damn it, a lot of crazy bad stuff happened to us, and it didn't happen to anybody else in our immediate area."
Yeah.
And it was all just like here.
Yeah.
But then I go back to this
And it missed like the main part of the house by a foot.
foot.
So can we get to the point of what was in the room that was right by where the tree
Your
came
souvenir that you brought home from the manor was in the room and if you look at how the tree broke, and this is a massive.
It's a giant pin oak.
Massive tree.
Yeah.
Massive.
It was 3 pin oak trees, and they were giant.
Huge. And I'm looking at it going, there's no way in hell this should have missed us. This should have hit right in that room where you had the artifact from the manor. And it didn't. And I keep looking at it going, are we getting fixated on at the end of the day, relatively minor stuff? Okay.
Right.
There are people out there that lost their lives, unfortunately, because of the storm, lost their homes, and we have to keep that in perspective. So are we getting...
Alan Hall, thank you for being
Is that Alan Hall? Man,
Yeah.
I need to get readers, man. I'm getting old. So, and that's a funny story because my quick side story, my optometrist, I wear contacts, was just always like, how's your vision up close? And I'm like, my vision up close is fine, man. I'm having trouble seeing stuff far away. Well, eventually, I'm just like, I'm fine. I'm fine.
And now you're doing like,
And then I had that day where all of a sudden I went, oh God, I can find the sweet spot. It's happened. It's true. Anyway, but I go back to this, that are we seeing the relatively minor bad things that happened, and we're saying that's the result of a passenger,
curse.
of a passenger, a curse, a hitchhiker.
A dark passenger.
Or was that stuff barreling for us all along?
And this kind of gave it a
little nudge to the side.
Yeah.
A little nudge, a little push to keep it from just
say that our passenger, our hitchhiker, was one of the guys at the manor. Say it was Charles. Okay. Say it was.
Okay.
He poured his heart and soul into that place, built that place brick by brick, and then we went there and we are watching it being completely swallowed and destroyed by the forest. It's being destroyed by these people who disrespect it. And it's just, in about 5 years, it's just not going to be there.
It's not going to be there. And it's not going to be there. Why? Because of trees falling on it.
Yeah.
There are several downed trees across where the manor once stood. And that was just weird to me, and that stuck with me. And I think what is unique about us with all of the people that have previously investigated that area is that we didn't sugarcoat anything.
No, absolutely not.
We didn't go into it going, all these poor people and they're just misunderstood. We both took the task of going, let's just call it all like it is.
Let's go the Joe Friday route.
Let's just focus on the facts, and sometimes those facts are not flattering to anybody that's involved in that story. But I think
if you're going to do a thorough investigation of anything, you can't color it with any kind of biases in any kind of way. You kind of have to, and that's what we're good at. Is that we don't run with a narrative of, say, like Bigfoot clans doing this in the Star Council
we just
stuff
go
like that.
and
It's
we
like,
go, what's
what
going
happened?
on?
What is the data we have here? What's the information we have here? And we just try to present that as best as we can.
And sometimes that data can point you in a particular direction, but you have to always go, this is just a wild ass guess and we might be wrong on it. So I don't know. But I will say this, something latched on. I feel comfortable saying that.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident.
Short of being able to, something latched on. Jesse's parents came in to give us a hand with some stuff, and they are sleeping in the same room where the souvenir is.
Well, no, I moved it out of
You did move it. Okay, but it's where it was.
It's in the library now.
The bathroom light has been turning on since we got power back by itself.
Like the switch is flipping. And my mom, if you guys have ever, you guys are familiar with the show, obviously, but I talk about my mom, and she has had a lot of experiences with the paranormal. She has seen full body apparitions, but
her whole life.
Like her whole life.
Yeah.
When she makes contact with these things, she just talks to them like they're just normal people just there. So the bathroom, she went to the bathroom and she turns the light off and she's going back to bed and the light flips back on.
She hears the switch
flip. And she goes, "We want to go to sleep. We like it dark. Thank you." And turns the light off and goes back to bed. So, but the light has been in that room coming on a couple of times so far.
So here's where I'm at with it, is that I've vocalized openly in the past that I'm not really big on the concept of like human spirits walking the earth after your body dies. I have a lot of problems with that. I think a lot of times it's something else pretending to be human spirits. And if somebody wants to go demons, maybe so, maybe some other sort of like disembodied intelligences that are out there. And that's how they choose to express themselves, because they want you to pay attention and interact with them. Because they somehow gain something from that entire process. And that might be what's going on here. I don't know. But I am saying that something latched on.
So we're definitely going to keep our eyes open and kind of be aware of what occurs, and try to look at it objectively. As things occur, if anything else occurs, we're going to look at it objectively. I did put the gargoyle with the artifact, so that is together. And I think I don't know. I think that if our hitchhiker, our passenger, had a sense of humor, and I think they think it's awesome.
Let's look at it completely dispassionately.
Okay.
Okay. This is a topic that fires people up on all sides. Okay. So let's skate past all that. Look at the individuals that were involved in this. Whether they were misunderstood misfits or if they were just like evil personified, even if they were just misunderstood misfits, they were not trying to portray themselves as like innocents. You know what I'm saying? They were not trying to portray themselves. There was a certain level of like, what did I call it? Naughtiness there. You know what I'm saying?
Playful wickedness.
Wickedness. There was a certain level of wickedness there. And I think that the thing that set us apart from other people that have visited there is that we came in.
Sue G, Jesse's new friend, will be making the rounds tonight. It knows where you live. Hit that like button.
So, all right, well, let's get to that, because this is what we also want to hear. Let's see if any of y'all start having stuff happen after this. Because
so I think that Kim Drescher mentioned earlier about it being a contagion. Yeah.
It handles like a contagion. And it's a contagion that doesn't follow the usual vectors of a virus. Mm-hmm. Sometimes just the mental connection is enough for that contagion to travel.
Yeah.
But back to what I was saying, as far as we went in there and we were very much just like, listen, I don't think there were any heroes involved in this. Okay. I don't think that there was a good or a bad side. Quite honestly, it seemed like everybody involved was a devil to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. Okay.
But aren't we all?
Aren't we all? Also, we live in a fairly strange house with a fairly strange library, decorated fairly strangely,
with a lot of artifacts.
A lot of artifacts.
I have a Victorian mourning doll that has the hair of a deceased child on it, and it has the picture of the child. It was a gift from my mother.
So
that's a great gift from your mother.
We have a lot of deer skulls around the house. You know what I'm saying? We have a lot of interesting books on a variety of different topics.
I also have a lot of artifacts from places that we've investigated. Mm-hmm. Magpie syndrome here. But we're cultivating a pretty interesting little museum here. I also have a lot of spiritual artifacts. I have Native American spiritual items.
We have things that people have sent us.
I have Aboriginal spiritual items. We have all kinds of stuff. So it's kind of it's starting to turn into a very charged location as it is.
And it is, our stream is locked up about 6 times. Now that is probably just because we have no internet. We're streaming. The cell towers are mostly down. We didn't think we'd be able to go on. And be quite honest with you, if the show just abruptly ends, we don't come back on.
That's what happened.
I'm halfway expecting it.
If you don't mind, if you're going to talk about something real quick, I'm going to check the stream to make sure it's okay.
Go right ahead. So we came in with, I think, is a pretty unique frame of mind for people who investigate this stuff. We're not standard ghost hunters. We're not, I keep saying this, there was a little gothic teen girl who took her prom photos there. Pork chop. So Jesse's like Apollo 11. She comes back with 45 pounds of rocks after every mission.
That popped up as soon as I got back here.
Oh my God. All right. Anyway, thank you for that. That's the funniest damn thing I've heard all week. Anyway.
Oh, Jesus.
That's and we really needed this tonight, guys. Thank you all. It's been a trying week.
I'm going to check the battery. We're okay on battery.
All right. We're good. So let's keep rolling.
We have good signal too, actually.
So we came in, we were not like people who were there just to take Instagram photos. We were also not people who came in like standard ghost hunters. I think quite honestly, we came in with a little bit better understanding of the parties involved than, I don't want to say everybody else, because I don't know everybody else, but I'd say most everybody else.
I think a healthy respect, knowledge, and interest, and maybe to some degree a understanding. I
have known murderous hillbillies that would smash your head in with a freaking axe handle.
I'm related to some.
Yes, and but I've known them. I've seen people get their heads cashed in with like an axe handle before, just for no damn apparent reason at all. We're used to that culture. We're from the Southern Appalachians, and though we have all of our teeth, we are through family and proximity. We're familiar with that. I understand how that mindset works. You know what I'm saying?
I like you threw out that we have all of our teeth.
Well,
and they all belong to us.
Us even. So, But so I despise that mindset, but I've seen it happen before. And when people are going, oh, it's so senseless, I'm just going, most of those people's lives are senseless. Most of those people are just on sheer impulse, no impulse control, no idea of consequences because of their actions. They live in the moment like a goldfish. We have also both known people who
would remind you of the residents of the manor.
People who were involved in voodoo, witchcraft.
Yeah, Joe and I lived in New Orleans for a very long time.
We knew people that were involved in like some crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? Intergenerational worship of stuff that people would find disturbing. I mean, that's a lot of the stuff you see on TV about New Orleans. Some of it's true. And you can't be down there long enough without becoming acquainted with some of those people. And so I think we went in with a different mindset and understanding the parties involved.
Yeah.
And then I think that we came from a different place than most other people do. And I think that if something was going to latch on and something wanted to escape that crumbling little manor in the woods,
I would come here.
You would be a perfect vehicle for something to latch onto.
Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of dancing around right now. Thank you, Suji. We appreciate it. We appreciate it, Suji. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm going to see if I can heart things. I can.
You can heart things at least? So, okay.
Give them likes.
But, so as I thought about it more and more, the idea of something latching on really started to kind of make sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we're at right now. I think that something latched on, and I had struggled with that too, because I was like, I don't want to like overemphasize our importance in the greater scheme of things here. We're just two weirdos from South Carolina looking into strange stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We ain't the Winchesters running around saving the world every week. Although that would be bad as hell if we were.
We're getting close.
I'd be Dean though.
I could be Sam.
You're a Sam, man. You're a Sam.
I don't know.
Sorry, I would be a Dean. Anyway.
I don't know. I'm the one, roofing today. Doing the tasks.
Damn it, you might be Dean. Good Lord, I might be Sam category. Anyway, but I'm just going. Why would something latch onto us? Maybe it can latch onto as many people as it wants that goes there. Mm-hmm. Okay. Maybe there's just not one. Maybe it just latched onto us a little extra. But what is that latching going to entail? With this storm, did something draw in a bunch of negative stuff? In the grand scheme of things, relatively minor negative stuff. We didn't die, or did something push a real big negative just to give it a little nudge and just nudged it away?
Pyromatic says we've already hell-bent lowrider.
We do have a hell-bent lowrider. So somebody was like, you need to cut the roof of it off. And and I was just going,
I've got to actually call someone.
Thank you, Two Shadows. We appreciate we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I got to call like a scrapyard or somebody to get your truck tomorrow.
Yeah, it's
still in the street.
We have photos of it. We would probably, if we have the internet, we have the laptops, we'll share them next week. So it's comical and tragic all
I can show photos of it and play like Sarah McLachlan music,
Good Lord, man. So
that was like our first research vehicle, that
was our baby. So
when we first started going out and doing this,
and then we'd still take it if like areas were like real rough and stuff like that. But oh well. So here's the thing.
Southwest Tennessee, a face over my shoulder. He says it's probably pareidolia.
Anyway.
Oh, didn't my mom also saw like a shadowy figure? I
didn't hear about that. So all right. But here's what we're gonna do.
They're ready to go back to Florida tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, they're leaving a day early.
Y'all enjoy your haunted house.
So there's a precedence for this stuff. It goes beyond the typical. It's the hitchhiker effect's talked about a lot nowadays. Okay, and if you really look at it, it's pretty much cross spectrum to every like little facet of high strangeness that's out there.
Yeah.
You hear about it with Skinwalker Ranch is what really kind of popularized it. Okay. But it's in the Bigfoot community as well.
Yeah.
People, Tom Powell, you're getting ready to read the book, The Locals, where he talks about, he was one of the first people to talk about how he was having encounters with what he believed to be Bigfoot. And then he would go 200 miles home and the activity would follow him home. I'm
so excited. I have not read that book yet.
Oh, it's amazing.
We went to, after we got done at the manor, we took a long way back home so we could go to the Bigfoot Museum, Expedition Bigfoot. We talked about this last week, but I'm going to have a members video as soon as I get internet, because I can't use Adobe without the internet to edit video. As soon as I get my internet up and working, I've got a members video of, we went to the museum, the Expedition Bigfoot Museum, and it's great. We had such a blast, but I got the Locals by Tom Powell to read because I've not read that yet. So go on.
But Tom Powell talked about how he was encountering what he thought was Sasquatch. And then all of a sudden he went, and I'm just using 200 miles arbitrarily. It was a distance. The activity followed him home, started finding stuff around the house, started finding and he was just going, how is this possible? How does a undiscovered primate follow me home? I took the interstate system to get here. You know what I'm saying? Know which house mine is. And there's a lot of like prosaic explanations for that. Well, you know, they've got your scent, you've been marked, whatever. Regardless, you were somewhere, you experienced weirdness, you went back home, the weirdness followed you.
Yeah, I don't think that Jane Goodall hangs out with apes in the jungles, and then she gets home to Nebraska,
finds one in the backyard,
and then there's one just chilling in the backyard drinking a pina colada.
You see that with Skinwalker Ranch.
Classic Nebraska pina colada.
Classic Nebraska. Classic. Anyway, you see that with Skinwalker Ranch stuff. You see that with Bigfoot stuff. You hear that with Dogman activity sometimes. Now that's kind of crossed over from Skinwalker Ranch. Some of the guys who investigated Skinwalker Ranch then reported that when the activity started appearing at their house in Maryland, outside of the DC suburbs, one of the things they saw were upright canines that were showing up in the backyards of their DC suburbs. So
their kids started seeing it.
Yes. So it happens in the paranormal community. There's a book, like we said earlier, Kim Drescher had mentioned that it behaves like a contagion. There's a book called Poltergeists, Parallels, and Contagions, which talks about how people will have poltergeist activity in their homes, and then it will begin to spread out and start affecting their neighbors, and it'll affect people who come there to investigate it. It will go home with them, and then it'll start to investigate their neighbors. Spreads like a virus.
But it's like a spiritual virus, a parallel universe virus.
Yeah.
I mean,
who knows?
Yeah.
Okay. Quantum mechanics virus. Who knows?
Yeah.
You know, quantum physics virus. But that happens. People talk about how, and one of the people that fascinates me the most, because I think he is just the pure embodiment of like modern high strangeness, Uri Geller.
Yeah.
Because Uri Geller is somebody who will hoax stuff with stage magic, basically, and then will legit be a battery for honest to God, high strangeness, psychic phenomenon sometimes. And it's like he revels in it. You don't know what's real and what's not. And guess what? That's the perfect breeding ground.
He would travel with spoons just so he could bend them, right?
Yeah.
He would travel with spoons. He would bend them and sign them and throw them at people.
Well, I don't know if he would throw them at people.
Yes.
He would just hurl these spoons at people.
He's hurling signed bent spoons at people.
But he's like, for me, he's the perfect embodiment, because people will tell you, one set of people will tell you that he is just legit. Other people will just go, he's like a con man, and he's a blend of both. And when you look at it, that's the paranormal world in a nutshell. It's always a blend. That's where the trickster is its strongest. It's where you don't know what's real or not. Am I being faked? Is this real? Some of the most classic hauntings have encompassed documented real paranormal activity, and then they've caught some of the people involved with it hoaxing stuff. And then afterwards, those people go, I don't know why I did that. You guys were witnessing the real stuff that was going on. I felt compelled to do this.
I mean, that's exactly what happened, in the UK with that case that was featured in The Conjuring.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. They caught the daughters hoaxing stuff.
There was plenty of actual activity going on.
They were seeing things move with their own eyes.
And then they started hoaxing stuff too, and they had no idea why.
And they said they didn't know why they did it. But to Uri Geller, he does that. It's a blend of real stuff, and quite honestly, I think he knows what's real. And he does some things that he, with a wink and kind of a nudge, is fake, because your uncertainty heightens the ability to do weird stuff. But you're talking about that spoon bending. He used to do a thing where he would get on live on network television, or cable or whatever it was back then. And he would do spoon bending. I think he did it on Johnny Carson like one night, but he would do the spoon bending and he would tell people all across the world watching that show to hold spoons in their hands. And people would report the spoons bending. Okay. Well, that's famous. Here's what's not talked about so much. A lot of those people would then have what you would consider paranormal activity happening in their homes after this was done. Okay. They did a study on Uri Geller to try to study some of his like abilities in a scientific laboratory setting in England. Okay. And they would use like weird instrumentation and then ask him to guess like cards, do this, tell me what this coin is going to land on, heads or tails. And he would set off some of the instrumentation when he was doing this. Okay. What's weirder is that these are people that are not paranormal researchers. They're just flat out scientists. And I can't remember was it Dartmouth?
Centurion, please be careful. He's got bad weather over there. He says,
hey, be careful, man. Be careful. Please let us know you got okay.
Everybody's getting insane storms. But go on.
So
thank you, Curtis
Whitaker. Thank you for that. You're so grateful. Thank you. Guys, we really appreciate it. Right now, we are having to spend a lot of out of pocket to try to do this. You can't really do homeowners insurance claims anymore because they just cancel you. So we are what we usually spend on the channel is going to be curtailed. So we'll be able to put this to good use
on the channel.
We've got to finish our audio setups. I've got this one that I'm still working on that I've got to get back to, but we'll put it to good use, man. It'll really get put to good use. So
somebody said that your best buddy was Michael Jackson.
That I don't know, but I do know that
and that he channeled aliens. This is Moondog Davis.
He did channel aliens. And Moondog will probably know the laboratory he was being studied at, but these were scientists. These weren't paranormal investigators. These weren't even people that worked at like laboratories looking into the paranormal. Mm-hmm. They were just doing a flat out scientific study on them. Well, then guess what? They would go home and start having strange activity happen in their houses. This is exactly
what happened at Skinwalker Ranch.
Exactly what happened at Skinwalker Ranch. And they would ask Uri Geller about it, and he would say off-the-wall things like that, like, oh, have you seen the UFO yet? And they would be like, what? They'd start seeing UFOs around their properties and stuff like that. And I still say this, if you think that Uri Geller is a fake, look beyond it. Look beyond the act he is putting on and start to go, this has been a carefully managed thing for you to never know what's real or not. And that uncertainty just feeds into the real stuff that is going on. But so this is
Uri Geller has some sort of connection with the elemental, the thing.
I think
that is the trickster phenomenon.
Think that Uri Geller is probably the avatar, and this is no lie. He is probably the avatar of the trickster on Earth right now, or maybe one of many avatars of the trickster. But if you look at him, everything is just contrived to make you believe him and then not believe him. Believe him and not believe him. Maybe I think he's real, maybe I think he's fake. And it's that liminal area. It's that kind of like you've blurred the lines between what's real and what's just fakery, and that's where he wants to live at.
And that frustration and confusion just feeds into the phenomenon.
Exactly right. So there's precedence for all of this, and we've experienced it in relatively minor ways before, I think. Okay. We had, and we've mentioned it in previous shows, when we started getting into the Dogman stuff, we saw a giant, what looked like a wolf outside of our house one night. Jessie was doing dishes into their kitchen window.
Oh my God.
Go like this. She's like, come over here and look at this. And like I walk over and look.
It was giant.
We lived in the woods and you could barely see it from our back porch.
And it's staring at me because we had like two big windows.
Seated, and it's staring at the window. And I didn't see it at first because it was a dark color and it's night outside. And then it wasn't until it stood up that I thought that was a bush.
It stood up on 4 legs, not 2.
No, 4 legs, but it was huge.
But it was a giant wolf.
And if it was a neighbor's dog that got out, it seems like somebody would have been, that dog would have been the talk of the town, man. That would have been a huge
It was a giant wolf. And what's crazy is like I'm out the kitchen window and I'm doing dishes because that sink was in front of these 2 big windows. And I look up and it's there and it's just sitting there staring up at me. And it just was staring at me. I stared at it. And then I was like, Joe, come here. It was So I totally forgot about that.
Yeah,
That's
but
so weird.
that was after we started looking into Dogmans.
Yeah.
So we've had it happen in interesting but fairly minor ways, and now we've got to determine if this is a interesting, not so minor attachment or hitchhiker that we picked up. I think we picked, and again, you know me, I'm the non-woo person out of it, but I'm also open to a lot of stuff nowadays.
Well, I mean, how can you not be? I think that you've really changed your tune over the past couple of years because of everything that we've experienced. And I don't know, the way things are going, it seems like, I hate to tell you this, that
What?
you're just getting like the tip of the iceberg on a lot of this.
Oh no, it's
like one day you might be like my mother and just be like, we like it dark in here, please. Thank you.
so well, here's the deal: is that I'm open to the stuff. I'm open to the possibility, but I don't either. Just because I'm open to it, and then I kind of lean more towards or against it, because a lot of the stuff's hard to prove.
Yeah.
Okay? But at the same token, you start getting to a point where you go, just like I've had to with a lot of this stuff. You start getting to the point where you're having to do real leaps of logic, and really kind of start to cherry pick the stuff that's happening to deny when something's happening.
Yeah.
And it is. Thank you, Alan. We appreciate that.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you so much. But it is. It's. We picked something up, and that's where I'm going to. I'm going to with it right now. Maybe I'll come back and go,
So
I can't see how I was wrong about that. We picked something up. Here's the question. What did we pick up? How bad is it? How much is it here? And did it draw stuff into us that night, or did it give something catastrophic, just a little nudge
to save us?
Maybe it wasn't powerful enough to just completely protect us from everything, but it gave it a little. And guess what? Maybe it wasn't protecting us. Maybe it was just going, the souvenir you took along was there.
Yeah.
Maybe it didn't want the souvenir to be impacted, but didn't care about the rest of us.
So we should just get more souvenirs and put them all over the house.
Protective barrier of souvenirs. That's not a bad idea.
We'll just go and get a ton and just put them out. No. So what's crazy is over the past couple of days, Joe and I have been just in the yard and all around the property, cleaning up, repairing everything, and hauling like logs and chainsawing everything. And we've had the wildest conversations about this whole thing.
Mhm.
We're like, God, we can't wait till Monday because we kind of want to talk to everybody about this. So we're talking about all of this. And of course, you know me, I bring up the question. So if we go back to the cave that is allegedly haunted by a certain witch, what are the thoughts on attempting a similar experiment?
You're never supposed to bring stuff out of that cave. Last time we were there, Jesse found a hagstone, which is a stone that has a naturally occurring hole in it from running water. And she really wanted, and that hagstone was huge.
Huge, the biggest one I've ever seen.
And we looked at it coming in, and the guide's going, you can take it if you want it. You'll send it back. We were going, and then we didn't get it, and then we were on our way out to leave it. You want that rock? And we just never did. When we go back, if that rock is there, we'll get that rock.
It was white, and it was this big. It was the most magnificent hagstone I've ever seen. So, Stitch Witch, smudging sage run.
Now, here's the deal. It might get to that point because when we were at the old place, and thank you for that, Stitch Witch. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Jerry. The Storm Fund. Thank you for that. So,
see, Sue G would have snagged that hagstone.
It was tempting, man. So, and then we've never found a hagstone naturally before, and then we mentioned that to Bart and Unley, and then we got a box.
Bart and Unley gave me a box of hagstones.
A box of hagstones.
Yes.
We have Bart and Unley hagstones all over this house now. So when we were,
Pork Chop said I was being baited by that rock.
probably were, man. But when at the old place,
it knows how to get to me.
We let it ride just because we're there to experience activity.
Yeah.
We're there to experience it. And we didn't change our normal routine. We just did everything we normally did. And then we were at the point where we were discussing, okay, now here's what we're going to do. We're going to start running digital recorders at night while we're asleep. We're going to start putting up some full spectrum cameras in parts of the house that we're not in to see what we catch. And as we were discussing that, it started getting like worse. We were starting to see like shadowy figures in the hallway.
So was that attention feeding into it? Now,
absolutely it was.
Now, here's what we've done.
So Jesse did some cleansing stuff and got the house and it stopped after that.
Here's what you and I had this conversation about this whole thing. We proposed these theories, discussed this. Now we are live, talking to 300 people. And then people are going to watch this afterwards. 5,000. So is this putting this out into the universe? Is this energy and this attention going to come back? Or
is it going to spread out amongst everybody that's watching this?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Usually whenever we mention that witch's name that Dooster likes to call Kate, Dooster's in here going, don't say it. Then one night I tried to wear the bad roommate fund. Thank you for that. So. Oh, yeah. Go ahead. So the one night I wore my shirt from that place, the whole show just crashed down.
Yeah.
I mean, literally everything crashed. And when we came back and we got it back up, and Dooster went, "You need to take that shirt off." And I went into the other room, took the shirt off, changed shirts out, and guess what? We didn't have any other problems after that. Yeah. What's crazy, speaking of that witch, when we went to the manor, when I packed my bag, I always take like a t-shirt to sleep in. I took that t-shirt. That's the t-shirt I took to Northwest Georgia when we went to the manor. That's right, you did. I didn't put two and two together. That was my sleeping t-shirt. Was that t-shirt I got from that cave. So. Can't just once know if our cats ever react to the phenomenon. You know, it'd be hard to tell because our cats are so damn. But you know what? They will occasionally. The night that the computer cut on and the computer turned on, opened to Chrome, went to our YouTube channel, started playing a video. Damn, I wish I remember which video that was. I didn't even pay attention to it. It was just the opening music is what I was hearing. That our one cat Cobra, which is the older cat, was sitting in like the office chair, just staring in the middle of the room, just staring. But you know what? She does that sometimes. I don't know if that was anything. But she's not bright. She's not bright. Anyway, she was just staring in the middle of the room. Otherwise, I don't. You know what? I haven't really noticed. A couple of times I've seen them just staring at stuff, and cats do that. Yeah. So let's see if their behavior changes now that like everything's been ramped up to 11. And we're definitely going to be more observant of what's going on. Now, I do have sage. I do have the protocol to kind of cleanse the area, cleanse everything, and hopefully push negative stuff back to a degree. But we've not deployed that yet, and I think I want to hold off. And kind of see what happens, you know, kind of do an experiment, like a experiment and like a haunting, you know. EDP asks, do you guys find this stuff responds to the name of Jesus like so many others report? I'm genuinely curious about that. Like how people have stopped experiences that I've way. Stopped like the night hag experiences that way. And you're not alone. Timothy Renner from Strange Familiars podcast used to have extremely bizarre sleep paralysis / abduction experiences. And he noticed that saying a Hail Mary stopped it every single time. Yeah. Every single time. And that's basically night hag. That's the night hag where you've got the sleep paralysis aspect. His were tied into basically abduction that he doesn't know whether it was like aliens or the Fae abducting him though. Crazy stuff. But that is said, I always go back to when we were first getting ramped up with that offering tree in Georgia. That was in the last video you did. Yeah. We caught that weird audio on both times. I got obsessed with, I said one night, I was like, I'm going to burn this damn tree down. And Jesse's like, you're not burning this tree down. You're going to burn the whole forest down. And I'm just like, this tree just needs to go. And I just started plotting on how I could like get rid of this tree. And I was eventually going to take little vials of like holy water and bury them around that tree. So I put a bunch of holy water vials in my backpack one time. I like how you're going to sneak and do this because I would not let you do this. Yeah, no, but I was going to do it. So then we ended up not doing it. And I left one of those vials mistakenly in my backpack for like a few weeks, I think it was. We talked about this like a while ago. I'd have to go back and see it. It's probably a few weeks or a month, something like that. We didn't have any weird activity at all. Everywhere we went to, it was just quiet. I mean, what is going on? We were just this like, nice. Usually like, you know, one night I just went, man, I could lay down and go to sleep here. And we'd had some like weird experiences in that spot. And it wasn't until one night I was like looking for something in my backpack. We'd hiked back to the vehicle to change out gear. and I was looking for something in my backpack, and I just went, holy crap, I've still got a vial of holy water in my backpack here.
Mm-hmm. Jessica Smith, this is before.
So, and I left it in the car, and we went back in, and it was like the freaking floodgates had opened up, and it was like wild. So all I can tell you is this, is that in my experience, yeah, it does. In Jesse's experience, other people's experience that has on this, and you can go to, why is that happening? Is that just like a talisman against this stuff? Is it like your belief system? Is there truth to the Bible? Whatever you want to look at it as, but it does seem to work. And I will tell you right now that I just went, I wonder if anything's going to happen when I take this out of my backpack tonight. And we had crazy activity that night. And it's so, yeah, from personal experience, yes, there's something to that. There's something to other smudging, Native American like rituals, you know what I'm saying? The using like and I'd have to go back and look, the sacred elements to a lot of Native Americans, like tobacco, sweetgrass, sage, stuff like that, seem to have some sort of power over this stuff. Mm-hmm. But again, you have to go back to this. We're not trying to repel it. We're trying to like look at it and hopefully document it. Yeah. And you can't do that if you have to drop a certain level of protection around to do that, and that might be what we're dealing with the consequences.
Got to take a couple slings and arrows.
You got to take a couple shots to the body there. So,
Michael X says a life hack for transporting your holy water. He says, drink a couple gallons of holy water and then water the tree.
It's actually not a bad idea. So, but there is something to that, regardless of what people say. It's
what a way to secretly keep transporting holy water from your wife.
Exactly right. So just drink a bunch of it. So we got to hurry up and get to this tree.
We're going to have, this is going to be a thing in marriage counseling one day. It's going to be like,
they tried to sneak holy water into the forest
into this haunted tree.
Yeah. So and then you hear about it with alien abduction too, from people who are just don't believe any of this other craziness. They just think aliens are beings from another planet.
Yeah.
And that, using the name of the Lord or anything that has like a certain religious significance to you.
That should have no effect on something from like another planet.
Something from like Zeta Reticula should have no bearing at all what your local superstitions are. So that tells you that there's something more going on behind the scenes with that. So, all right.
I'm going to check the status of this.
Check the battery.
Because we are cruising. We're living on a prayer.
Exactly. I'm surprised it hadn't gone out yet. So
living on a prayer.
So it's that's what we're dealing with right now. We're dealing with this. We're dealing with
we're running a little low. Sorry, that's my finder.
We'll go a few more minutes on this, but
not a shadow person. All right, there we go. Yeah, you're running down a little bit.
All right, we'll wrap up. Well, we won't go the full. We'll try to make it till 9 o'clock. But if we have to cut a little early, we'll have to cut a little early.
All right.
But it's weird experiencing this right now because it's something that I've read about a lot. Again, that if you haven't read it, Poltergeist Parallels and Contagions. They talk about it was the South Shields poltergeist, which was a pretty famous poltergeist case that happened. Physical contact with the family, tugging them off of beds, marks appearing on their bodies, all sorts of crazy. The toilet apparently flushed red with blood.
What?
Yeah, I kid you not. So, but neighbors around there started to experience that stuff. Even neighbors who didn't personally know that family began to experience it. And
it slowly started to branch out.
And the investigators themselves took it home. And then it branched out from the investigators. And they're the ones the South Shields people are the ones who eventually wrote Poltergeist Parallels and Contagion, which nowadays we call the hitchhiker effect. It latches onto you. And that's what's so weird to me, where that just takes, if they're dealing with extraterrestrials at Skinwalker Ranch, how's that possible? Maybe it's possible if you're dealing with the spirits of dead people, If you're dealing with undiscovered primates, how's that happening with Bigfoot? All of this stuff seems to have if you pay attention to us and you interact with us, it gives us strength over you.
What if these entities, these creatures, these aliens, these ghosts, everything, what if like they need us?
When you get attention, there's not that much difference between attention and prayer, worship, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, look back at our ancestors. You never called the Fae because you didn't want to get their attention. You didn't want that eye to kind of settle upon you. So you would call them, the gray neighbors or the good folk, the kindly ones, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't actually use the name of the Fae. It was all about trying to avoid that attention settling on you. And I think that's why this activity acts the way it does sometimes. It tries to behave in ways that, look at what we've talked about in the past. We have openly just gone, not doing this anymore. This is just a bunch of BS. It's difficult. It's expensive. It wrecks our lives. It takes up all of our free time, takes up time we don't have, costs us sleep, it precludes us from having any semblance of normal life whatsoever. We're done. Because the frustration level gets so high.
Now you do sound like the Winchesters.
Exactly. But then guess what? You get roped back in.
Yeah.
And you can't even fake it. You can't pretend to be that way, trying to stimulate something to happen.
It has to be to a point.
You have to feel it.
It has to be to a breaking point, and it has to emotionally and physically break you.
And then something happens.
Yeah.
You hear a weird scream, or something happens just to draw you.
And it won't let you go.
It knows just how much frustration to give you, and then it needs to lure you back in.
And you can't get away from it. I think once you've seen what you see, I can't unsee it. It's not that it haunts you, but it's also that draw, that grip that it gets upon you and takes you with it.
I used to hear back when I was just pure Bigfoot. That's all I was into was Bigfoot. Is that you would hear about researchers that had been around for years and years and years that just dropped off the public stage, and you'd be like, why? And a lot of times people went frustration with the whole subject. And I used to think it was just frustration with the craziness that goes along with the Bigfoot community.
Yeah.
And then doing this for a while, I'm going, no, they just got frustrated with the constant, the back and forth with it, how it just likes to mess with you, and how a lot of times it wants you to get right up to that point. And you know what? Maybe it does eventually get to the point where it wants to drive you off. It wants to see you slink away broken. Maybe it gets some sort of a victory over you at that point. That's why we're just constantly and we do occasionally, as much as we say it, we hit that point where we go, but we're very easily drawn back in.
We're very petty sometimes and spiteful. So unfortunately,
yeah, I mean,
we're going to come back.
That's how we got so
prove a point.
That's how we got so wrapped up into the Grove. Because the Grove, I would test equipment here. I would test it in the vehicle before I hiked in. Then we would hike all the way in to go set up the equipment, malfunction. Hike it out, it'd work. I put up a lot of redundancies in that one and got there, and it was still running. And I think we were live streaming that night I got there, and the recorder was still running. And I was so happy with that. And then we got out, and then it was just dead. It never powered back on. It wasn't raining that night. We didn't get wet.
You couldn't get anything off of it either.
Couldn't get anything off it. It's turned up. It's just, I finally pitched it. I finally just threw it away. And I kept it going. Well, maybe one day it'll just magically start working, and I'll be able to find out what audio was on there. Nothing on the SD card. Everything just it was just EMP hit, just dead. And I'm going, this was the biggest FU to me from this place, because I'd set up redundacies. All right, I'm going to do this.
You thought you had a victory.
I thought I had it, and it let me think I had a victory for a little while, and then it just
snatched it away from you.
Yeah, give me one of those. You know what I'm saying? So, but it does that. So now we'll see how this develops. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. If we think it's drawing badness in, we can't deal with much more, but we've dealt with this past week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And to be quite honest with you, unless we see real quick that it's not like that, we're going to have to
figure something out.
And that's just because we ain't doing nobody good if we're homeless, vehicleless, jobless. You know what I'm saying? We can't be the best paranormal investigators in the world if we're living in a cardboard box. You know what I'm saying? So
it'll have a pink gargoyle on it.
It'll be a cardboard box with a pink gargoyle on it. So we are going to have to figure out how we can.
Again, that goes back to us observing what's happening, really making note of it, being aware of what's happening. I personally, I don't feel darkness. I don't
either.
Fear,
but here's the deal.
But it could be lulling you into
darkness is deceptive sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still am not 100% positive that what we're dealing with in North Georgia, it feels different. Don't mean it is different.
Yeah.
It could be
false security.
All of this stuff is just a monumental mind F. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what you have to constantly realize. And if you look at people throughout the ages who have dealt with these phenomena, what do they always tell you? Practice discernment. Look beyond what you see.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
When, whatever you're dealing with, it's not what you think you're dealing with. And then when you figure that out, it probably ain't that either. Okay? Always look beyond, and whatever you think is going on, overwhelming chances are that's not it. Okay? So we'll see. Just because we didn't get a feeling of evil, those woods felt evil. The manor itself did not. The manor
Sam
itself
Burton mentioned earlier when he was up there and he saw the manor and he saw the state that it was in and the woods taking it over and how it was just crumbling, trees through it. He felt just a sense of sadness.
And again, here's the deal.
And at that location, you do get that.
And they openly had a lot of demonic symbolism around the house.
Yeah.
Okay? However, they were described as being basically just non-conformist people who were basically doing that for shock value.
Yeah.
Okay? Kind of like an Alice Cooper or something like that. You know what I'm saying? He
is quite the golfer these days.
He is quite the golfer these days, But look at Ozzy. They thought he was the devil personified, and now he's a caricature, So it might have just been somebody with just an odd sense of humor, probably fed into him getting killed. Wasn't the most sensible thing to do.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see. But the next couple of weeks are going to be critical with this. We'll see what happens. And I realize that it's we're flying pretty close to the sun here right now. You know what I'm saying? These wings might melt pretty damn quick. So,
I just think it's really important that we still have respect for the whole situation.
Excuse me.
A sense of realism.
We've been breathing sawdust for the past week.
Yeah.
So we're sniffling, sneezing.
And exhausted.
Well, we're always doing that anyway. And Sheila Ebeling, I don't know if she's on here. She goes, you guys spend all of your time on damp leaves getting rained on.
Yeah.
You guys need to start taking care of your respiratory health a little bit better. And I'm going,
what? A moth flies out.
Yeah.
I just think that we need to approach this with a healthy level of respect, diligence. We need to be.
However, you don't. I'm always saying this: the whole gifting and everything like that. You're basically practicing a form of worship. All of this, you see, it's so repetitive. It's so repetitive. You have to leave out a bowl of cream for the fairies, or they'll slaughter all your cows. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Once you get to that position of leaving it out, sometimes. You gift Bigfoot and then you don't gift it sometime and it flips out and destroys somebody's somebody's shed or starts bashing windows at a house. You always hear that. So we're treat it with respect.
Smashes their rose arbor.
Yeah, exactly. Treat it with respect, but don't be docile with it. Don't be, don't approach it with a sense of I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Don't be obsequious with it or anything like that,
But
a
$3 word.
That is a $3 word. So we'll see how it kind of goes over the next week.
Yeah.
We'll see how it kind of develops. We are going to have to be pretty quick to move on it if it does seem like it's going to cause us more problems. Because if this was a problem that it caused, pretty damn big problem. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If it's a problem that it just nudged away.
Yeah.
And that's what I also look at is how powerful could this possibly be?
Well,
the storm was already coming.
It's not.
Well, no, I mean
test the waters
that's
too
a
much.
question you got to look at. You got to look at logically. You know what I'm saying? If it was that powerful and it wanted to do us ill, we never would have left those woods.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's true.
If it drew all of this stuff towards us in the storm, that's pretty freaking impressive display of power. If it just happened to have just enough strength to nudge something to the side, just a foot, not enough to stop it, but enough to keep it from crushing, even if it's for its own good, ultimately, that's different. So
Bob Olson says, what do you think of how your life was before all this?
Oh, God. Don't even know. That's a bad question. Oh, God.
Oh.
I used to be able to have normal conversations with normal people. Which we did, you know what I'm saying? Now it's a struggle to talk about, like, oh, how are you? Yes. That TV show, no, I have not seen that. I don't watch television. What do you spend your time doing? Well, I'm glad you asked. I don't know. It's hard to even remember what it was like being normal. You know what I'm saying? So sad as that is, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we wanted to go see Dune in the theater when it came out. That's one of the...
We were like, we're going to do it.
The Dune 1 was one of the few movies, like recent movies we've seen, and we enjoyed the heck out of it. So we wanted to go see Dune 2. We couldn't go see Dune 2 because we're constantly going, all right, we've got to do this. We're going to get into these woods. I mean, when you guys see like an investigation video, like four or five outings have happened where nothing really occurred, where nothing's happened.
Yeah.
So that takes up a lot of our, I mean, if we could just do that full time, like if I won the lottery next month, we would just do all that full time. I mean, we would be spending 80 hours a week doing just investigations and equipment and everything like that.
Yeah.
So it's consumed us. Let's just say it like that.
Consumed.
It's consumed us.
I think I'm going to do last call in a second because we're
going to do last call, guys. So
and that cell phone's probably not going to last much longer. But yeah, I'm excited. Trepidatious.
Nervous.
But we're okay. We want to let you guys know that we're okay. I've had a rough few days. A lot of downs and some ups. Yeah. So I think this whole thing, because this was what happened, was catastrophic. We moved here a year ago, and like literally a year after we moved here and got worked so hard for this and put all this together with this house and stuff, and then to come and see that it was just all destroyed like that up there. It was very difficult for me.
And
we in 3 days, 3 or 4 days, like together, working from sun up to sundown, we kind of did it,
So, but here's where we're at a crossroads right now, is that more than likely we've always gone, we can't drive it away because we want to study this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And if it's happening at your house, well, it's happening at your house, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then when it got bad in the old place, then you cleanse the place. Okay. Well, it might be that the longer we do this, the more extreme the reactions are going to be.
Yeah.
By whatever latches on.
Yeah.
And it's strengthened just by the obsession that we have and all the mental energy we pour into it.
Yeah.
And all the physical energy we pour into it. I mean, because when we're out 10 miles in hiking equipment trying to catch weird stuff, there's energy being expelled by us. Physical energy, mental energy, spiritual energy, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Emotional energy, all that's being pumped out. And we know sometimes too that we have to put ourselves into frightening situations because the fear sometimes, or the adrenaline dump strengthens whatever's going on out there.
Yeah.
But at the same token, we do have to realize that what's coming back our way is strengthening as well.
Absolutely.
And we might have to eventually turn this freaking house into a fortress, man. You know what I'm saying? Where we just go. I
always had this cool idea. This was back when I was living in New Orleans.
Hey, thank you, Pork Chop.
Thank you, Pork Chop. Yeah, I'm going to check that out. I made a note about that. I had this idea. I wanted to do, like, if I ever got a house, I would do like a section in front of the doors. I'd do like brick dust at all the doorways.
Brick dust, salt.
Yeah. And like a permanent fixture in those houses. But we might end up having to do something like that, depending on what we're looking at. Like the Warrens, they had their basement museum that was kind of in a
warded, basically.
Yeah, warded in a protected room. So we're just kind of figuring this out as we go and kind of picking up things along the way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But at the same token, when we do that, it's going to be because we feel that, hey, there's no other option at that point. Okay. Thank you, Ray. We appreciate that.
Thanks, Ray.
So
I got it.
Got it.
I got it. Don't touch. No touch. Bad touch.
But we're going to feel it out slowly. We're going to see how the next week develops. I am curious to see, again, we've gone 4 days with that. This is the first thing we've done with the project.
Yeah.
We're both itching to get back out into the woods.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
I want to not run a chainsaw. I want to get in the woods and not run a chainsaw.
Let's see what happens when we get in the woods.
Yeah, because we've gone through kind of a traumatic kind of couple experience, you know?
Mm-hmm. So. I think, and it's weird because I think that, and I think this kind of ties into the hitchhiker effect or whatever you want to call it. I think certain people experience certain things, or certain people are just their makeup. I don't want to say born a certain way, but I guess that's a simple way of saying it. But just their makeup make them attractive to this stuff and make them more in tune with this stuff.
Yeah,
I've always said I think that what happened to Bart Nunley as a kid marked him somehow. Mm-hmm. And I've never even really explored that talking to him, but I think it marked him somehow.
Yeah. To make him kind of a beacon in the night for these things.
Well, yeah, but that we'll unpack that later on.
Okay.
Because I've never even really talked to him about my theory on that.
Okay.
I think that Martin Groves, those are my big three of people that I've dealt with. I think that the Deuster, just from years of like ghost hunting and everything like that, is probably what I got to. And so now it's almost like it builds up on you. Do you know what I'm saying? So now we've got this new player. There's a new player in the game after going to the manor, I feel.
Yeah.
So let's see how that affects the other players in the game and some of the other stuff that we experience out there. Let's see if we go out and the other phenomena that we encounter is intensified somehow. Because that's what we're after.
It's almost like there's a pantheon of characters here.
It is to a certain, or is it just one big character behind the scenes with a bunch of different aspects?
And I'm tired.
And on that note, I think we're going to wrap it up. So, guys, thank you all so much.
Thank you guys for joining us.
I'm going to go back and watch this later when we can kind of read the chat. Just Deuster just popped in. Who you going to call? I'll call you, Deuster. I'm calling you when something strange is in the neighborhood. But anyway, we appreciate you guys.
In my office, Dewey. In my office, on my shelf by my desk, I keep those dowsing rods that you made me, those really nice like Cadillacs. And my mom picks them up and goes, "What the heck are these? Put them down." So I keep them on the shelf by my desk. But that was funny. But
I just hit the lavalier, guys. I'm not used to wearing a lavalier, so it probably picked up every little throat clear and brush up against it. So
you got some beard noises.
Beard noises on it. So
thank you guys for joining us. We're gonna wrap it up. I'm starving. I'm tired. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm a roofer today, apparently. But we might share some photos of this crazy stuff at some point in time, just when we're over it a little bit.
Everybody that's experiencing bad weather tonight, I'm hoping.
Please be safe.
Please be safe. Please be safe.
Just you guys.
I'm hoping it dodges you guys all. I hope everybody you get a little bit of rain and that's it. So.
Yep. And always, let's show that one. That's not a bad one.
Sometimes
it's crazy. But thank you guys so much. And make sure you guys take care of yourselves, take care of each other.
Members, keep your notifications on.
Yeah.
We might be doing something because we've just missed it.
We might do something. Tomorrow, maybe.
Hellbent Roofing Company. Good Lord.
Please no. I did not enjoy that. I was very scared. So I'm on top of the roof and I'm just like as low as I can get and my dad's just barking orders at me. So it's great. All right. Thank you guys. Members, keep your notifications on. We are ready to get back in the field. So keep your notifications on. You might see a little something from us in the very near future. We appreciate you guys joining us today. I have to get up and turn that off, but thank you guys so much.
I got it.
We love you. Joe's going to do it.
Joe's going to do it.
Joe, you got this, baby?
I
believe in you. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to watch this chat. All right. Awesome. Sweet. Thank you guys.
All right. We're out.
Good to go. Bye, guys.